Hey there, chaps and chapheads. It's been a while since last we talked, and there's a good reason for that. You see, something has happened to me. Something awful. Something that... really, it may very well be the worst thing to ever happen to me. Apart from, being disinherited, cut off from my only source of income, chucked out onto the street and expected to live a life that I was not raised to live. And also, apart from when they cancelled the free fruit at the office. Tarquin, my dear friend, has decided we can no longer speak. Of course, he didn't actually say any of this. He did this the upper class way. And the upper class way of cutting someone out of your life is to invite them to several incredibly high society events that you know they cannot attend, and then sending them a dead pheasant. It's sort of like in the mafia when they leave the dead horse's head in your bed. This is much more a thing if they send you a pheasant by royal mail. So it's very smelly by the time it arrives, and then you're stuck with it. I have been given the pheasant of ex-friendship, and I never thought it would happen. Not to me and Tarkers. We've been together since the good old days. We had the same nursery maid. We went to the same schools. We dormed in the same rooms. We shared so much, which I am now learning is perhaps not the sort of thing one normally shares with a friend. But the rules are different at boarding school, It's kind of like prison that way. What happens there stays there. Also, it doesn't really count in the outside world. It's very sort of insular, and it doesn't count in the real world. So, of course, we just carried our friendship forward, and not any of the, now that I think about it, actually quite questionable things that we did. But still, we have been friends for a good long time, and suddenly, all of a sudden, he decides he doesn't want to talk to me anymore. Admittedly, I have changed in the last year. I have had to. I have eaten veal from a tin. I have eaten many questionable things. And I have changed my definition of what is a worthwhile meal. Turns out a human being can live without caviar. Caviar is entirely unnecessary to a person's continued existence. If only I'd known that sooner. He came round to see me a week or so ago, and he said, Jodphurs, Rodders, old chum, old mucker, old friend. A little bit thirsty after the journey here. Do you have anything? And I said, yes. Would you like a glass of wine before we head out? And he said, oh, yes, that'd be lovely. What have you got? And I said, red or white? And I was quite happy that I'd finally managed to get enough saved up to have a choice. He probably would have been all right with that. But as soon as I got the box out on the counter, he sort of glazed. So that's unfortunate, and now he's not speaking to me. I have been set aside once again from yet another of the things I grew up with. But that's fine. We're from different worlds now. I've been doing this for nearly a year. Can you imagine? Nearly a year of poverty, and I'm somehow alive. This is remarkable. This is something that should be commended. I have a bathroom cabinet now. Yes, you see? Look at that. Look. I made that. I didn't make it as such. I sort of took it all out of the box and put it together, but I did that. Me. A year ago, I couldn't even put a thing together that stood up in the corner, and I taped it to the wall, and we had some larks back then. That actually had to go. Not because it was unsuitable, but because it turned out the plastic was cheap, and it became mouldy. So I sold it as a build-your-own hash pipe to some people down the road, and they seemed to enjoy it. But I have a bathroom cabinet, which I constructed myself. And I have a kitchen that has food in it. I mean, it has food in it because it was payday last week, so in about 2 weeks' time it won't. I'm still trying to work that one out. But I am surviving, somehow. And Tarkers, my dear friend who I'd known all my life, didn't understand that was important, because he has all of this stuff that I will never have again. And somehow it wasn't important to him that I had enough stuff to keep myself alive. Because this is something I've noticed. See, living for a year as a poor person, I mean, I will probably be poor for a hell of a lot longer, but if I phrase it like that, it sounds more like a think piece. Being a poor person for a whole year has made me realize that being a poor person, you put a lot of your effort into just continuing to exist. And if you can do anything other than exist, then you're coming out on top. Whereas if you're a rich person, then the existing is pretty much taken care of before you're even born. You have friends and family who are all gifted with massive amounts of cash and houses and things that they can abuse to their heart's content. So when you come along, it's not much different, really. So you have the existing taken care of. And then it's only when something like this happens, where you're very suddenly thrust into the world without a penny to your name and only the shirt on your back, that you realize that you don't actually know how to exist. You only know how to do the other stuff, the extra stuff, the going to parties and getting drunk and wasting your money on one hobby after another and all these sorts of things that you can't really do if you're poor, because you spend all of your money on just getting to the next week, getting to the next payday. And I guess what I'm saying is, Tarkers is gone. He shall be mentioned no more. If he wants to come back, then he can, but I mean, really, that's fair enough, I suppose, and we're from different worlds, and I've made my peace with it. 2 seconds. That was Tarkers. His mother sent me the dead pheasant, not him, because she felt I was a bad influence, being poor and all that. Tarkers kicked up a stink about it. Tarkers has been disinherited. He will join me in my suffering forever.